Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on TuneIn Radio Network. To listen or watch, simply go to tuneinjoco.com to choose where and how. Oops. The Joco Community Radio app is now available for free on Android and iOS devices. Simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, at 844-839-4245. Awesome. All right. All right. So I I have a confession to make.
I think I know the answer.
So I just hit live on Facebook. So during the break I realized that we actually weren't live on Facebook. So now we're live on Facebook for the second half of the show. And yeah, now we're all the way streaming on all boards or places, avenues, forums, virtual space, all of that. There we go.
As Greg once said, but we are always everywhere at once.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So, that well, before we went on our break, and those of you that are joining us on Facebook Live, we were talking right before it about basically the difference between dreaming reality and possibility creation and reality. I guess conscious awake hours of the day, that kind of thing. And what's the difference? What are those limitations, and are they actually there? Are they the limitations themselves rooted in maybe like the society that we live in, or maybe like the program that you're running for your life? So there's so many factors that can go into this, and for me, the question is always, but there's always a way around. Like, the question is like, wait, how can we make this happen? How can we come together and create something new to do this thing that was impossible before? Um, and I feel like the reason why I say that is because I've kind of been always kind of like been like kind of a conspiracy theorist. And like, hey, this doesn't look right. I feel like they're doing this, and then now like literally all the conspiracy theories that we were like, "Oh, you're fucking crazy," like, they're actually doing it. So I'm like, well, I feel like there is absolutely scientific and imaginative power that can go into creating anything. What do you think?
Let's try it right now.
In response to Nike, just do it.
All right. So what are we creating then?
Well, I remember you said there's a game that you play that we're already playing and we don't even know it.
Oh, okay. Wait, okay, you put me on the spot. Which game are we talking about? We have lots of those games.
Well, the painful thing about those kinds of games is I never actually know the rules, and like there's always an ounce of me that's always like, yeah, I know, but like, what is the game, Greg? Well, actually, I will share one thing. Going back to my kindergarten class analogy, and that is a book for show and tell that I'll quickly grab.
I love that. I love that.
And that book is called Games You Can Play in Your Head by yourself. And it is literally a game where they give you a very general context with a setup, and you create the entire world within your own mind. And you essentially have an eternal storage unit inside of your brain, and then you increase the story, the characters, you add anything you want, and the more vivid you intend to make the story, the more vivid it becomes. And we mention this because being able to use this ability to see things and perceive things and imagine them isn't just your own ability, it's also something you practice.
Exactly.
And I think that's the part that people miss out on. They might simply say that, well, we can't really do that, we can't really imagine that we're doing that. You kind of can, but not really. But if you practice it and give it a go and play with it a bit, you actually get better at doing it.
Absolutely. I feel like that I feel like there's a whole like ideology or understanding against using imagination, and this is simply from my perspective and my dose of life, and sampling of those that I've met. But I feel like the society that we kind of live in, it diminishes that because of the like that takes too much energy. All that you need to do is survive. So everybody's focused on surviving. You don't have time to imagine about anything. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you taking time from, focusing on what bills need to get paid and how you're going to pay them, and what your routine is and how you're going to take care of your kids and how you're going to do this and this and this. I don't got time for imagining stuff. That's not going to put the bacon on the table. I feel like the very core of like the reason why imagination is so taboo, or so, and I wouldn't say taboo, but is so like shunned or looked at as like such childish, is because to be an adult is to make sure that like you're taking care of business. You're putting food on the table, and you're taking care of everything that you need to take care of, and being responsible and successful all at the same time.
And I think that the word success there is very important to clarify. Essentially, you're contributing to things that are in the physical realm. Like that, I feel like that's generally like where things go, or what the emphasis is on when you're an adult, in a sense, is to do things that will actually help humanity, which is to me the most ironic statement, as that is a perception of what you define as helping humanity and
Yeah.
what people actually really want. And I think being in this endless cycle to continue doing something that may eventually come is the most beautiful irony. I had a talk with somebody about, like, who had the frame of thought that you put in the work now so that you can help your family later. And I'm like, okay. So I'd always ask questions like to get deeper, and I'm like, what would you help your family to be able to do? It's like, oh, so that they can live, to be able to make a living, to then help their family. And I noticed we started to get into this cycle. And that at that point I was like, what are you eventually doing? Like, what is like, is there a thing that you experience along the way? Is there like a certain thing you're supposed to feel? Like, what is the underlying thing here? And they're like, you're simply helping people. And then the cycle continued into,
Right.
you're doing something so that the next people can do something, so that the next people can do something, but you're never actually taking those moments to feel what you want to feel in the first place.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the real rat race.
Absolutely. That's the sound that I hear is literally like the of a machine. I mean, that's what that sounds like, is like a machine trudging forward, going forward, because it's essentially what you're creating. It's a mindset creating another mindset, creating another mindset of the same box, the same like purpose. When
And
those the very dreams that you have when you're a kid, that I feel is so important, to see, is like, this is the window of potential. Because like I was talking before the break, like Braden was talking about, you can't jump into the stratosphere, but like, what if I can build a apparatus that can help me do that, you know? how could I experience that? You know, how what with your the technology that you were talking about, you know, like how could I experience that with my mind, the central nervous system that I have, which is how I would experience anything in the first place. Is there a way I could tap that into something? You know, that kind of thing. So there's all these infinite ways that things can, well, become hybrid, you know, to create an infinite reality. So it's like the imagination, if it were a common thing, if it were something that was like encouraged, something that was like cherished as the gold that it is, I feel like we'd live in a whole different world. I feel like we completely be the way that human would be different.
I've got a fun devil's advocate conversation. So we often
I like
talk about
this.
like changing how we feel to enjoy the things we're currently doing. And instead of only doing things we might inherently enjoy. And so what would you say to somebody who said, well, then why don't you change how you feel to enjoy how society already operates?
Mm, mm. I can definitely see that. That's a good point. And my initial response is a question. Is so how do you feel about the way that society already operates? Do you feel that the society operates in a freedom or in a structured, limited kind of stream? And from there, like, which one feels better? You know, like what feels better? I mean, honestly, it's a very possible to the stream feels better because that's common. Like that, like I know that. I don't know nothing about this like crazy imagine thing you're talking about.
And that kind of comes, maybe not feels better, but I guess, yeah, there's like a line that's like, it's the devil I know, something like that.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Opposed to the monster I've never met.
Yeah.
I believe something like that. The devil I know. I would rather stay with the devil I know than the monster I've never met. I believe. Yeah, that's beautiful, beautiful. It's exact representation of what we're talking about. How do you feel? How do you feel the like the solution like that? Aha!
This is
What do you
this
feel?
is kind of what the realization I came to. Originally, my whole thing was about doing what's fulfilling. It was to find the things that we inherently find fulfilling or we more likely would enjoy. And it was all about the things or like the actions. And I remember when I was working under Greg, under he
I
was my
was like,
boss.
sound right.
When Greg was coaching me, he was sharing this perspective that instead of only doing that got scary. Instead of only doing the things we find fulfilling, try to also enjoy, like choose to feel fulfilled by some of the things you already do. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay. And then that was like, it was a cool little tool. And then I started to realize that it's like, at the end of the day, we choose whether we feel fulfilled by things. And I tried to play with that. I'm like, all right, that sounds really cool in principle, but it's also really hard. And it takes a lot of practice and change of our behavior because our brain's always doing the most to do the least.
Right.
It doesn't want us to constantly put in more energy to change how we already feel. And that's why I think both are incredibly beautiful. You can try to adjust how you feel to match what everyone else is doing, but if you really don't inherently enjoy that, you're going to be putting in so much extra work to change who you are and how you go about this world to meet that.
Yeah.
If you already really enjoy that, then you're probably not going to be questioning any of this. But to me, I do my best to feel fulfilled by the things I do at any moment. And then I adjust it. I whatever I still don't enjoy, whatever is really hard to change, instead of forcing that and prying that, I find things that I might inherently enjoy doing, like having conversations with open-minded people.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the beautiful balance, is is, yeah, we can technically control things, but it's much easier said than done. So to give us a little assist, an alley-oop, understanding what things we might enjoy is a really helpful tool.
Absolutely. And getting to the harmony, finding harmony. Because I know I found in my like, journey that some things that I don't inherently like, or the things that I'm like, okay, great example, washing dishes. I really like I've struggled with like washing dishes, and I'm telling you, like it's like I can say struggled. It's like, I mean, I don't fucking wash no damn dishes. Like I don't like it. So it's like those kind of things. Yeah, I know, right? Those kind of things that like I gotta wash my dishes, like because it shit stinks, and I don't want to. I don't want to stink, and I don't want to like every time I walk in my house or walk in my kitchen, I don't want to smell that. I would rather smell nice and herbs and that kind of thing, right? So I have to wash the dishes, but it's like taking that have to and replacing it with I want to. It's like I was telling you the other day, not saying I want to, but like feeling it. So it goes back down to we do have control over our being at any given moment. And it's literally like the way that for me, the way that I perceive it is the way that I'm feeling it. So by changing that feeling of I have to the feeling of I want to, and I know why I want to, because I really enjoy the smell of like a clean, kitchen. I really enjoy like not having clutter around. I enjoy these things. So I want to wash these dishes because this is enjoyable to me. So I take that in that like the enjoyable part that is in the future, and I just like reel that in like a fish, like I catch it. Like I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I'm okay. And I give it my now. So it doesn't have to be like I have to be miserable while washing these dishes to get to the ah. I can actually feel that as I'm doing that thing because this is the reason why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I attribute it to the motto of this podcast, of this radio show: see it, feel it, allow it. That's something
Absolutely.
Greg and I live by. But I think for me, one of the difficult parts when we initially initiated that phrase and kind of like understood, like, oh shit, that's what we've been trying to do, is that it's it takes a little practice to be able to feel that, like, because we saw it, we definitely saw it, and we said it, but we didn't feel it to the degree that required. And I think like that's to me like the beauty of like doing exercises like this, and like the benefits of having something like a coach. Like it's so easy to say, yeah, you like got really do or good at something, or like, oh yeah, that sounds great, or to read one of those quotes on like a Facebook, and then like Bruce Lee's like, open your mind, flow like water, and then you're like, yeah, that's how I'm gonna live for the rest of my life, and then you don't actually live like that because like I've been really respecting human behavior, and when I mean respect, I mean like I've been like dissecting how complex but also simple it is, and giving the amount of time possibly required to change myself to be able to live by a Bruce Lee quote, if that's what I resonate with. And that to me has been like the most beautiful thing I've been doing in my life, is taking like these beautiful morals and core principles we have and like ingraining them by like really like doing it, and then being honest when like I clearly haven't made any progress because I actually haven't really practiced this. And I remember I'm learning how to freestyle rap in like more specific ways. Before I kind of would just do it, I'd perform. And I watched this video on the difference between practicing and performing. And it was basically saying that like there's this like famous jazz musician who said, in order to be 100% great, you got to be ready to be 100% bad. And that entailed him doing like these exercises that he never did before, and he like failed in the sense that like he wouldn't do it to the what he was expecting, but the fact that he was doing them made him be able to do that in the future. And that's what I've been doing, is I've been doing see it, feel it, allow it in ways that are really hard, but I'm getting more equipped at doing them and being honest when I haven't been able to do them, or I still want to put a little attention on an area. And that to me is the attention we don't give our like ability to imagine or our ability to choose how we feel. Is it takes a little practice, and that's
Yeah.
why like doing things like playing games to practice and do the dishes makes it a hell of a lot enjoyable. So it's not like, yeah, when I finally get this skill things will be great. It's like, no, 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 the simple act of attempting to do these things to me is enjoyable. That's why
Absolutely.
people do CrossFit.
Yeah, exactly. I love how you threw that in there. That's what you CrossFit. It's like you can just see like a whole bunch of people like, oh, that's why. You didn't do it hard enough. There's no blood yet. I love it. I love it. No, I'm not saying anything against CrossFit. I love CrossFit. But so that principle that you're talking about, though, I feel that's at the foundation of entrepreneurship. It's a foundation of literally living your truest self and having that accountability all the time. You know, to practice those things that are harder. Because you're right. You know, like it is really, really beautiful to think of your life as water and like think of Bruce Lee and One Inch Punch and that kind of thing, or any other person of his caliber. It really is easy to like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's what I want, you know. And then to like go, that's what I'm doing, and then fall flat on your face. It's so easy to do that. And it's so easy to even as you practice it, as you even make a commitment, like to practice this lifestyle, this consciousness to self and self evolution. Even when you're doing that, the second that you're like, you think that, hey, I'm good at this, now you're back at square one. You know, you're back at the very beginning. But every single time you have that realization, it's the practice of it that makes it beautiful every single time. Every single
I,
time that you gotta like, oh yeah, I know this. Oh, okay, back on track. Makes it that much more beautiful every single time.
One of the most beautiful things I've done to respect human behavior is because I understand how our brain does not want this change. It wants the least amount of things. So I'm like, all right, y'all want to do the most convenient thing and avoid the least inconvenient thing. Then I understand how you work. So I've been setting up my room to make the thing I really do want to do and feel really convenient. And I called it the naked lady habit. As I tried to imagine what's the most attractive, irresistible, unavoidable thing you could imagine? And I just imagined, a naked lady standing right in front of me. And I make and I make the things I'm attempting to do feel on that level. And anyone can use their other analogy, but simply understanding that the more convenient you set up the thing you want to feel or do, the more likely your brain will actually want you to do that thing.
100%.
And
100%.
I've been like compartmentalizing some of my spaces to like work with me as I get better. Like I'm never relying entirely on these systems, but I'm using them as like a little, like if like you had an injury and you broke your leg, you might use like a crutch or a cane or a cast in order to heal it, and then slowly you'll walk and rehabilitate and then be able to do it on your own. And that's how I'm using this process. Is I'm setting up my environment so that this station is meant for this, and so I'm going to entirely put my focus into feeling this, and then as I get better at that, I can have a better ability to choose that on my own. And I'm so grateful I did that, because it makes things so much easier, and just simply like I actually end up feeling the things I want to feel.
I love that, because you're creating the environment that you want. So and there's absolutely nothing that is counterintuitive about that, because again, it's constant practice. So it's almost like Like if water forgot it was water, it's like water practicing water, you know, it's something that it's so inevitable that once you start it, it's like turning on the faucet, that water's going somewhere. Like it's going somewhere. You know, you can trap it, you can hold it in a cup, but it's gonna eventually evaporate. The water is going somewhere all the time. You can't stop
Bruce Lee's like, okay.
that. Exactly.
Writing that one down.
I actually just got what you just said. That's funny. That's funny. I missed it. So, but that practice though of setting up your room, setting up your workspace in like, hey, this is. I love the analogy, the naked lady, and like that's awesome. But that's exactly what I was talking about with the dishes. You know, like reeling in the feeling of what you want, because everything want, need, it doesn't matter. It's all want. Like designating the feeling and feeling it now, being incredible now, feeling that now, so that the task at hand, whatever you're doing, you have all that focus in that, you have that feeling in that. And I mean, I feel like in that point, you really can't miss. Can't go wrong, because you're doing exactly what is in line with you.
Greg, you know what I'd love to see? Like an emotional PlayStation. And when I mean station, I mean like
Damn it, we're out of time.
oh, well, I would play with your emotions, and I guarantee you will learn how to choose to feel them, and just see what that feels like.
Play with it. Just play with it.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Hey travelers, do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call, because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at ridiculously low prices. Our prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find ridiculously low prices for you. Call SmartFares today and get the best price on your next flight. Guaranteed. Also, save up to 50% off business and first class tickets.
855-325-1820. 855-325-1820. That's 855-325-1820.